What if I told you that a quarter sitting in a jar, forgotten in a kitchen drawer, or hiding in your pocket change could be worth far more than 25 cents? Most people would spend it without a second thought. But what if that ordinary-looking coin happened to be a 2003 Washington quarter with a rare feature that collectors desperately want? Some examples have stunned the coin community, selling for thousands of dollars and turning everyday change into unexpected treasure. The story begins in 2003, a year when millions of Americans were collecting quarters from the wildly successful 50-state quarters program. The United States Mint was producing enormous numbers of coins to satisfy public demand. Among them was the Philadelphia Mint's Washington quarter, identified by the small P mint mark. At first glance, the 2003 Washington quarter seems ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front, a design that had become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. On the reverse, depending on the state represented, collectors could find unique artwork celebrating American history, culture, and geography. But hidden among the hundreds of millions produced were a few extraordinary coins. Imagine a mint worker overseeing machines that strike thousands of coins every hour. The process is fast, precise, and relentless. Yet even in a highly controlled environment, mistakes happen. Sometimes a die develops cracks. Sometimes it becomes misaligned. Sometimes a planchet enters the press with imperfections. These small manufacturing errors can create coins unlike any others. And that's where the mystery begins. Over the years, collectors have discovered 2003 Washington quarters featuring dramatic die cracks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual mint errors. To most people, these oddities might look like damage. But to experienced numismatists, they are clues, evidence that something unusual occurred during the coin's creation. The most fascinating part is that many of these rare error coins entered circulation unnoticed. They passed through cash registers, vending machines, and bank rolls. Some sat in piggy banks for years before anyone realized what they were holding. Now here's the question that keeps treasure hunters searching through their change. How many rare examples are still out there? No one knows. Because coins circulate endlessly, valuable specimens can remain hidden for decades. Every time someone opens an old coin jar, there is a chance, however small, that a rare discovery could emerge. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters in 2003. With such a massive mintage, most examples remain worth only face value. However, condition changes everything. Collectors compete fiercely for coins graded in exceptionally high mint state condition. These are coins that escaped circulation and preserved nearly perfect surfaces. The difference between an average quarter and a pristine example can mean the difference between 25 cents and hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. Professional grading services evaluate factors such as luster, strike quality, and surface preservation. A tiny scratch invisible to most people can significantly affect a grade. That's why top-grade examples are so rare. Finding a quarter that survived 2 decades without wear is much harder than it sounds. And then there are the error coins. Some collectors spend years hunting for dramatic mint mistakes because each one tells a unique story. Unlike standard coins, error coins are accidental creations. They are products of split-second events during production that can never be perfectly repeated. Think about that for a moment. Millions of quarters may look identical, but an error coin is essentially one of a kind. It represents a moment in history frozen in metal. This uniqueness creates intense demand. When a particularly dramatic error appears at auction, collectors often compete aggressively. Prices can climb surprisingly high, especially when the error is visually striking and authenticated by experts. Another fascinating aspect of the 2003 Washington quarter is its connection to the state quarters era itself. The program transformed coin collecting in America. Families searched through pocket change together. Children filled collection maps. Millions of people who had never considered collecting coins suddenly became fascinated by the hobby. For many Americans, these quarters became more than money. They became miniature pieces of history. The 2003 issues captured a moment when the nation was celebrating its diversity through state-themed designs. Every quarter represented a story, a place, and a piece of American identity. Yet among those ordinary coins, rare treasures quietly blended into the crowd. Perhaps that's what makes them so captivating. Gold coins look valuable. Ancient treasures look important. But a modern quarter? Most people overlook it completely. The possibility that hidden value could exist in something so ordinary speaks to a deeper human fascination. We all wonder whether treasure might be closer than we think. And history is filled with examples proving that possibility is real. Collectors have discovered valuable coins in circulation, inherited collections, bankrolls, and even spare change trays. Some were purchased unknowingly for face value before experts recognized their significance. Could the next discovery be sitting in someone's pocket right now? It's entirely possible. When examining a 2003 Washington quarter, collectors often look for unusual characteristics. Is the strike centered? Are there visible die cracks? Does the coin have an unusual shape? Is the surface unusually well preserved? Small details can make an enormous difference. Patience is essential in coin collecting. Most searches end without a major discovery. Yet every collector knows that the next coin examined could be the one that changes everything. That's the thrill. It's not just about money. It's about the hunt. It's about holding a piece of history and wondering where it has traveled over the past 20 years. How many hands touched it? How many cities did it visit? How many stories could it tell if it could speak? The 2003 Washington quarter reminds us that extraordinary stories often hide inside ordinary objects. While most examples are worth only 25 cents, a select few have become prized collectibles because of exceptional condition, rare mint errors, or unique characteristics. And that uncertainty keeps collectors searching. Every coin jar becomes a potential treasure chest. Every handful of change becomes an opportunity. Every quarter deserves a second look. So the next time you receive a Washington quarter in change, don't spend it too quickly. Take a closer look. Check the mint mark. Examine the details. You never know what hidden secrets might be staring back at you. After all, some of the world's most exciting discoveries begin with something everyone else ignored. And somewhere out there, another rare 2003 Washington quarter may still be waiting to be found. Have you ever imagined that a quarter sitting unnoticed in a pocket, a cup holder, or a forgotten coin jar could be worth far more than 25 cents? Most people spend them without a second thought. But what if one particular quarter from 2010 has a story so fascinating that collectors across America still search for it today? And what if the next one you find could be hiding a valuable secret? Today, we're diving into the remarkable story of the 2010 Washington $quarter coin, a modern coin that combines American history, national pride, and the thrill of treasure hunting. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary quarter. But behind its design lies a fascinating chapter of America's past and a collecting journey that continues to surprise people more than a decade later. To understand why this coin matters, we need to travel back to 1932. That was the year the Washington quarter was first introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. For generations, Americans carried Washington quarters in their pockets, making them one of the most recognizable coins in the country. But in 1999, the United States Mint launched a groundbreaking program called the State Quarters Program. The success of that series led to another popular collection known as the America the Beautiful Quarters Program. Beginning in 2010, the Mint started releasing quarters that celebrated national parks and historic sites across the United States. The 2010 Washington quarter was among the very first coins issued in this exciting new series. The P Mint mark indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most historic minting facilities in America. Now here's where things become interesting. The America the Beautiful series featured 5 different quarter designs every year. Each design honored a unique location with historical, cultural, or natural significance. Millions of Americans suddenly found themselves checking their change again, hoping to complete collections or discover special examples. The first 2010 design honored Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas. Imagine a place where people have visited natural thermal springs for centuries. Native Americans knew about these waters long before European settlers arrived. Later, the area became one of America's most famous spa destinations. The quarter's reverse design captures the beauty and elegance of the park, featuring the historic fountain and landscape that made hot springs famous. Suddenly, a simple quarter became a miniature history lesson. But that's only part of the story. When these quarters entered circulation, collectors quickly began setting aside pristine examples. While hundreds of millions were produced, finding one in perfect condition became much harder than many people expected. The Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 349 million hot springs quarters in 2010. That sounds enormous, and it is. Yet coin collecting has always been about condition. Two coins may be identical in date and design, but their values can be dramatically different depending on their preservation. Think about it. The moment a coin enters circulation, it begins a difficult journey. It rattles around in cash registers. It scrapes against other coins. It gets dropped on sidewalks, stuffed into pockets, and forgotten in drawers. Every scratch tells a story, but every scratch also affects collector value. This is why some collectors spend years searching through rolls of quarters from banks. They're hunting for examples that somehow escaped the wear and tear of everyday life. And then there are the errors. Coin errors have always fascinated collectors because they transform ordinary coins into accidental rarities. During the minting process, countless things can go wrong. Dies can crack. Designs can be struck off-center. Double impressions can appear. Small imperfections can create unique coins that collectors eagerly pursue. While most 2010p Washington quarters are worth face value in circulated condition, unusual error examples have attracted significant attention. Some have sold for surprising premiums simply because they possess characteristics that make them different from the millions of ordinary coins. Imagine discovering that a quarter you've carried around for years contains a rare minting mistake. That's the kind of possibility that keeps treasure hunters searching. But the story gets even deeper. The year 2010 marked a significant transition in modern American coinage. The America the Beautiful series represented more than just a design change. It reflected a growing effort to celebrate America's landscapes, history, and national heritage. Every quarter became a tiny ambassador for a different part of the country. Someone in New York might learn about a national park in Arkansas. Someone in California might become curious about a historic site in Wyoming. These coins connected millions of people to places they had never visited. In a way, every quarter became a pocket-sized history book. Now let's talk about value, because that's what many viewers are wondering. Could a 2010p Washington quarter actually be worth money? The answer depends entirely on condition and rarity. A typical circulated example usually remains worth 25 cents. However, uncirculated specimens with strong details, brilliant surfaces, and minimal marks can command higher prices among collectors. Professional grading services evaluate coins using detailed standards. The highest grade examples are often the most desirable because they are extremely difficult to find. A coin that appears ordinary to most people may receive a premium if it earns an exceptional grade from a respected grading company. In some cases, top population examples have sold for hundreds of dollars at auction. The reason isn't rarity of the date itself. It's rarity of preservation. Think of it like classic cars. Thousands may have been produced originally, but only a handful survive in near-perfect condition decades later. The same principle applies to coins. And here's a fascinating question. How many valuable coins have already passed through your hands without you realizing it? Most people never examine their change closely. They glance at the denomination and move on. Collectors, however, see something entirely different. They see history, craftsmanship, and possibility. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. Unlike many hobbies, treasure can still be found in everyday life. You don't necessarily need expensive equipment or a massive budget. Sometimes all it takes is curiosity and attention to detail. The 2010p Washington quarter serves as a perfect example. Millions were produced, yet collectors continue searching for exceptional specimens, rare errors, and overlooked treasures. There is also something deeply symbolic about this coin. It honors both George Washington and America's natural treasures. One side features the nation's first president, a figure whose leadership helped shape a new country. The other side celebrates landscapes and historic sites that continue inspiring visitors generations later. That combination of history and beauty gives the coin a significance that extends far beyond its monetary value. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson hidden within this quarter. Coins are more than metal discs used for commerce. They are witnesses to history. They pass from hand to hand, crossing cities, states, and generations. They survive economic booms, recessions, technological revolutions, and cultural changes. Every scratch, every mark, every mile traveled becomes part of their story. Some quarters spend decades circulating unnoticed. Others find their way into collections where they are carefully preserved and admired. Yet all of them carry a small piece of American history. So the next time you receive change at a store, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the design. You might discover a coin that tells an incredible story. And who knows? Maybe a 2010p Washington quarter is already sitting in your pocket right now, waiting to be noticed. The thrill of treasure hunting isn't always about finding millions of dollars. Sometimes it's about uncovering history hiding in plain sight. Sometimes it's about realizing that extraordinary stories can be found in the most ordinary places. And that is exactly why collectors continue searching, one coin at a time. If you enjoyed this journey into the story of the 2010p Washington quarter, be sure to subscribe and join us for more fascinating discoveries from the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and American history. Because the next incredible find could be closer than you think. Perhaps even waiting in your spare change right now. Have you ever pulled a quarter from your pocket, glanced at it for a second, and tossed it into a jar without another thought? What if I told you that one ordinary-looking quarter from 2015 could be worth far more than 25 cents? And what if thousands of people have spent years searching through their change, hoping to find one hiding in plain sight? Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 2015D Washington $quarter coin, a modern coin that most Americans have seen, but very few truly understand. At first glance, it looks like just another quarter, but beneath its shiny surface lies a story of history, artistry, hidden varieties, and the possibility of unexpected value. So before you spend that quarter sitting in your pocket right now, you may want to take a closer look. The story begins long before 2015. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States. Originally intended as a one-year commemorative issue celebrating the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth, the design became so popular that it permanently replaced the standing Liberty quarter. For decades, Americans carried Washington's portrait in their pockets. The coin witnessed wars, economic booms, technological revolutions, and countless moments of everyday American life. Then, in 1999, everything changed. The United States Mint launched the famous State Quarters program, followed by several other commemorative quarter series. By 2010, a new chapter began with the America the Beautiful Quarters program, showcasing national parks and historic sites across the country. The 2015D Washington quarter belongs to this remarkable series. But here's where things get interesting. The letter D on the coin indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of America's most important coin-producing facilities. Millions of quarters roll out of Denver every year, yet not all are created equal. In 2015, the U.S. Mint released 5 different America the Beautiful quarter designs. These celebrated Homestead National Monument of America in Nebraska, Kisatchie National Forest in Louisiana, Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge in Delaware, and Saratoga National Historical Park in New York. Each design tells a unique American story. Imagine a family building a homestead on the vast Nebraska prairie. Imagine dense forests stretching across Louisiana. Imagine historic battlefields where the fate of a nation was shaped. These tiny coins became miniature history lessons traveling through millions of hands. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these quarters. On paper, that sounds common. And it is. But collectors know a secret. Sometimes rarity isn't about low mintage numbers. Sometimes rarity comes from mistakes. Throughout coin collecting history, mint errors have transformed ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures. A tiny misalignment, a doubled image, a die crack, or an off-center strike can suddenly turn pocket change into a collector's prize. This is why experienced treasure hunters examine every quarter carefully. Could your 2015 D quarter contain an error? Some collectors have reported examples with double die characteristics, die chips, and striking abnormalities. While most are minor, certain dramatic errors can command impressive premiums in the collector market. And that's where the excitement begins. Imagine receiving change at a gas station. You toss the coins into your cup holder. Months later, while cleaning your car, you notice a strange-looking quarter. Something seems different. You post photos online. Experts take a closer look. Suddenly, what was worth 25 cents becomes worth $50, $100, or even more. Stories like these are part of what makes coin collecting so addictive. It's not just about money. It's about discovery. It's about the possibility that history is hiding in your pocket. Now let's talk about condition, because condition is everything. A circulated 2015 D Washington quarter typically remains worth face value. You can spend it anywhere and nobody would think twice. But collectors chase coins in exceptional condition. When a coin leaves the mint, it possesses sharp details, brilliant luster, and pristine surfaces. Over time, scratches, contact marks, and wear gradually reduce its quality. The finest surviving examples receive high grades from professional grading services. Coins graded at the top levels can sell for significantly more than ordinary examples. This surprises many people. After all, how can a modern quarter be worth dozens or even hundreds of dollars? The answer lies in scarcity. While millions were produced, very few survive in perfect condition. Every scratch, every nick, every tiny imperfection eliminates another coin from the highest grading categories. Collectors competing for the finest known examples can drive prices dramatically higher. And here's a fascinating fact. Many of the most valuable modern coins aren't ancient treasures buried underground. They're coins that were quietly saved at the right time and preserved with extraordinary care. A person who pulled a fresh 2015 D quarter from circulation and stored it properly may own a coin far more desirable than thousands of worn examples still circulating today. But the story doesn't stop there. The America the Beautiful series holds special cultural significance. Each quarter serves as a snapshot of America's natural beauty and historical heritage. These coins celebrate places many people dream of visiting but may never see in person. Think about that for a moment. A simple quarter could introduce someone to a national forest in Louisiana or a historic battlefield in New York. Few objects travel through society as widely as coins. Rich or poor, young or old, nearly everyone encounters them. That makes coins unique storytellers. Every quarter passes through countless hands, carrying history with it. And the 2015 D quarter is no exception. There's also a psychological mystery surrounding modern coin collecting. Why do people spend hours searching through rolls of quarters? Why do collectors examine coins under magnification looking for tiny details invisible to the naked eye? The answer is surprisingly simple. Humans love treasure hunts. From ancient explorers searching for lost cities to modern collectors searching bank rolls, the thrill remains the same. The possibility of finding something rare keeps people looking. Every quarter becomes a mystery waiting to be solved. Could this be the valuable one? Could this be the overlooked error? Could this be the coin that everyone else missed? Those questions fuel the passion of collectors around the world. And occasionally the answers are yes. As the years pass, another factor may influence the future of the 2015 D Washington quarter. Time. Coins disappear from circulation every day. Some are damaged. Some are lost. Others are melted or permanently stored in collections. The surviving population slowly changes. History has shown that many coins once considered common eventually become more desirable as decades pass. No one can predict exactly what the future holds. But collectors understand that today's ordinary coin can become tomorrow's sought-after collectible. That uncertainty adds another layer of excitement. Perhaps somewhere right now, inside a forgotten piggy bank, a coin jar, or an old dresser drawer, sits a remarkable 2015 D quarter waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's an exceptional high-grade example. Maybe it's an unusual mint error. Or maybe it's simply a perfectly preserved piece of American history. Whatever the case, it reminds us that valuable discoveries don't always come from pirate ships, buried treasure chests, or hidden vaults. Sometimes they come from the spare change we overlook every day. So the next time a quarter lands in your hand, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Check the date. Look for the Denver Mint mark. Examine the details, because hidden among millions of ordinary coins could be a piece of history with a story worth telling. And who knows? The next great coin discovery might already be sitting in your pocket right now. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, make sure to subscribe and join us for more incredible stories of hidden treasures, fascinating history, and unexpected discoveries. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what's the most interesting coin you've ever found in your change? Your next coin could be worth far more than you imagine. Have you ever pulled a quarter from your pocket, glanced at it for a second, and tossed it into a jar without a second thought? What if I told you that one ordinary-looking 2016 Washington quarter could be worth far more than 25 cents? In fact, some examples have sparked intense interest among collectors, with certain rare pieces and error varieties attracting serious attention. But what makes a modern coin, minted by the millions, so fascinating? And why are collectors still searching through pocket change hoping to find one? The story begins in 2016, a year when the United States Mint was continuing one of the most successful coin programs in American history. The Washington quarter had already been a familiar sight in American pockets for decades, but the quarter series had evolved far beyond its original design. Through the America the Beautiful Quarters program, each year introduced new reverse designs celebrating important national parks and historic sites across the country. Coins bearing the Philadelphia Mint's famous P Mint mark represented a significant chapter in this story. The 2016 Washington quarter wasn't just one coin. It was part of a collection of designs honoring remarkable locations that reflected America's natural beauty, cultural heritage, and historical significance. At first glance, these quarters seemed completely ordinary. Millions were produced and they circulated throughout the country. Most people spent them without giving them a second thought. Yet hidden among these everyday coins were pieces that would eventually capture the attention of collectors. Imagine walking into a convenience store, receiving change, and unknowingly holding a coin that could be worth dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of dollars under the right circumstances. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this continue to fuel the excitement of coin collecting. The Washington quarter itself has a rich history stretching back to 1932. Originally created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin became a permanent part of American currency. Generation after generation carried these quarters in their pockets, unknowingly participating in a tradition that connected them to nearly a century of American history. By 2016, the quarter had become much more than a simple coin. It was a miniature history lesson, a work of art, and for collectors, a treasure hunt waiting to happen. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 2016. With numbers that large, you might think rarity would be impossible. After all, how can a coin be special when so many exist? That's where the story becomes interesting. In the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't always about low mintage numbers. Sometimes it comes down to condition. Sometimes it comes down to errors. And sometimes it comes down to tiny details that most people never notice. Think about this. Out of the millions of quarters struck in 2016, how many survived in perfect condition? How many escaped scratches, wear, and damage? The answer is surprisingly few. Collectors pay extraordinary premiums for coins that appear almost exactly as they did when they left the mint. These high-grade examples can command impressive prices because finding them is much harder than most people realize. Every time a coin changes hands, it risks damage. It gets dropped, scraped against other coins, tossed into cash registers, and carried in pockets. Over time, even minor imperfections reduce its collector value. That means the search isn't simply for any 2016 P quarter. The real hunt is for exceptional examples. But condition isn't the only factor that creates excitement. Coin errors have fascinated collectors for generations. These mistakes occur during the minting process and can transform an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible. Some collectors spend years examining quarters under magnification, searching for unusual characteristics. They look for double designs, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other minting anomalies. Why are these errors so valuable? Because mistakes were never supposed to happen. The United States Mint operates with remarkable precision. When an error slips through the system and enters circulation, it becomes a unique piece of minting history. Suddenly, a coin intended to be worth 25 cents becomes a conversation piece, a mystery, and potentially a valuable collectible. And here's the fascinating part. Many error coins remain undiscovered in circulation. Right now, somewhere in America, a rare quarter could be sitting in a cash drawer, forgotten in a couch cushion, or hiding inside a coin jar. Perhaps someone already has one and doesn't even know it. That possibility keeps collectors searching. The beautiful designs released during 2016 added another layer of appeal. Each design represented a specific location and told a unique story about the nation's heritage. These quarters transformed ordinary pocket change into tiny historical monuments. Every coin carried imagery connected to places that millions of Americans might never visit in person but could still appreciate through the artistry of the quarter. This connection between history, art, and everyday life helped make the series enormously popular. Collectors often build complete sets, searching for every design, mint mark, and variation. The challenge creates excitement, and the possibility of finding something rare adds even more intrigue. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of coin collecting isn't the money. It's the stories. Imagine a grandfather handing a quarter to his grandchild and explaining its history. Imagine a collector spending years searching through rolls of coins before finally discovering a rare variety. Imagine the thrill of realizing that a seemingly ordinary piece of change might be something extraordinary. These moments create memories that last far longer than the value of the coin itself. The 2016 P Washington quarter represents this spirit perfectly. It reminds us that history isn't locked away in museums. Sometimes it's sitting in our pockets. It also raises an intriguing question. How many treasures do we overlook every day because they seem too ordinary? Most people see a quarter and think only about what it can buy. Collectors see something different. They see craftsmanship, history, rarity, and possibility. That shift in perspective transforms the hunt into an adventure. Even among modern coins, discoveries continue to happen. New varieties are identified. Error coins emerge from circulation. High-grade specimens surface in old collections. The story is still being written. And that's what makes modern coin collecting so exciting. Unlike ancient treasures buried for centuries, these discoveries can happen at any moment. The next valuable find could be waiting in a bankroll, a vending machine, or a handful of change received after buying a cup of coffee. The 2016 P Washington quarter serves as a reminder that extraordinary things often hide in plain sight. Its connection to American history, its role in the Beautiful series, its potential for rare errors, and its appeal to collectors all combine to create a fascinating story behind a coin most people never think twice about. So the next time you receive a quarter, pause before spending it. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Check the mint mark. Consider the journey that coin has taken and the history it represents. Because somewhere among the millions of ordinary quarters, a rare and valuable treasure may still be waiting to be discovered. And who knows? The next incredible find might already be in your pocket right now. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden story behind the 2016 P Washington quarter, make sure to subscribe and join us for more incredible coin discoveries, hidden treasures, and fascinating pieces of history hiding in everyday places. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what's the most interesting coin you've ever found in your change? Your next discovery might inspire our next adventure. Have you ever looked at the loose change in your pocket and wondered if one ordinary-looking quarter could be hiding an extraordinary story? Imagine pulling out a 2017 Washington quarter, a coin millions of people ignored, only to discover that certain examples have attracted intense interest from collectors and sparked treasure-hunting excitement across the country. It may not be ancient gold, and it may not be a legendary pirate treasure, but the story behind the 2017 Washington quarter is far more fascinating than most people realize. At first glance, the coin seems completely ordinary. On the front is the familiar portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Americans have seen this design for generations, making it one of the most recognizable images in the nation's history. But behind this everyday coin lies a remarkable chapter in modern American numismatics. The year 2017 was part of the United States Mint's America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that celebrated national parks and historic sites across the country. By 2017, the program was nearing its conclusion, but collectors remained eager to see which locations would be honored next. That year featured 5 different quarter designs. These included Effigy Mounds National Monument in Iowa, Frederick Douglass National Historic Site in Washington, D.C., Ozark National Scenic Riverways in Missouri, Ellis Island in New Jersey, and George Rogers Clark National Historical Park in Indiana. Millions of these quarters entered circulation. Most people spent them without a second thought. Yet among coin enthusiasts, the 2017 issues quickly became a source of excitement. Why? Because for the first time in American history, the Philadelphia Mint began placing its mint mark on circulating pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters to celebrate the Mint's 225th anniversary. For decades, Philadelphia-produced coins often carried no mint mark at all. Suddenly, in 2017, Americans started seeing a small P on their pocket change. It was a historic moment. Think about that for a second. A tiny letter, barely noticeable to most people, represented a major departure from tradition that had existed for generations. Collectors immediately took notice. Children searched piggy banks. Coin roll hunters visited banks looking for unopened rolls. Families started checking change jars that had been forgotten for years. A modern treasure hunt had begun. What makes this story even more interesting is that the Philadelphia Mint itself has an incredible history. Founded in 1792, the Philadelphia Mint was the first official mint of the United States. It played a central role in establishing the nation's financial system during the early years of the Republic. When George Washington served as president, the young country desperately needed a stable currency. The Philadelphia Mint became one of the key institutions that helped transform a collection of former colonies into a functioning nation. More than 2 centuries later, the same mint produced the 2017 quarter. In a way, every one of these coins carries a connection to that remarkable history. Yet history alone does not create collector demand. Rarity matters. And this is where things get interesting. The standard 2017 quarter is not rare. Hundreds of millions were produced. Most examples are worth only face value. But collectors know that rarity often emerges from imperfections. During production, some coins experience striking errors, die cracks, off-center strikes, doubled features, or other unusual characteristics. Whenever mistakes occur at the mint, collectors pay attention. Imagine discovering a coin that somehow escaped the mint with a visible error. Instead of being worth 25 cents, it might suddenly become a highly sought-after collectible. Stories like these fuel the passion of treasure hunters. Across America, collectors continue examining rolls of quarters, hoping to uncover a hidden gem. And that raises an intriguing question. How many valuable coins have passed through your hands without you noticing? Perhaps a quarter used to buy a cup of coffee years ago is now sitting in a collector's album. Perhaps a rare error coin is hiding in a forgotten coin jar at this very moment. The possibility keeps people searching. Another factor that drives interest is condition. Most quarters enter circulation and quickly develop scratches, marks, and wear. But occasionally, a coin remains in exceptional condition. Collectors use grading systems to evaluate preservation quality. The difference between an average circulated coin and a nearly perfect example can be dramatic. In some cases, high-grade 2017 P quarters have sold for significantly more than face value because collectors compete for the finest known specimens. Think about that irony. A coin designed for everyday spending becomes valuable precisely because nobody spent it. The fewer marks it has, the more desirable it becomes. It is a fascinating contradiction that exists throughout the world of coin collecting. But the story does not end there. The America the Beautiful series itself represents something larger than coins. Each design serves as a miniature history lesson. Every quarter tells a story about a location, an event, or a cultural landmark that helped shape the United States. Take Ellis Island, for example. For millions of immigrants, Ellis Island represented hope, opportunity, and a chance to build a better life. When that image appeared on a quarter in 2017, it transformed an ordinary piece of change into a symbol of countless personal journeys. The same can be said for Frederick Douglass, whose remarkable life and advocacy for freedom continue to inspire generations. These coins are more than metal. They are tiny storytellers. They travel from hand to hand, crossing cities, states, and communities while carrying fragments of American history. Most people never think about this. Yet every coin has traveled somewhere. Every coin has a story, and some stories become mysteries. Collectors often wonder how many rare examples remain undiscovered. How many pristine coins still sit in forgotten bank vaults? How many unusual errors escape detection? How many future discoveries are waiting inside rolls that have not yet been opened? No one truly knows. That uncertainty is part of what makes coin collecting so addictive. Unlike many hobbies, there is always the possibility of an unexpected discovery. The next remarkable find could be sitting in circulation right now. Perhaps it is hiding in a cash register. Perhaps it is resting in a dresser drawer. Perhaps someone will unknowingly spend it tomorrow. That sense of possibility transforms ordinary change into potential treasure. And while the 2017 P Washington quarter may not be the rarest coin ever produced, it occupies a unique place in modern numismatic history. It marks a special anniversary. It represents a historic change at the Philadelphia Mint. It celebrates important American landmarks. And it reminds collectors that even recent coins can have fascinating stories behind them. In a world where people often focus on ancient treasures and legendary rarities, the 2017 P quarter proves that history is still being created today. Sometimes the most interesting treasures are not buried underground. Sometimes they are hiding in plain sight. The next time you receive a quarter in change, take a closer look. Check for that small P mint mark. Examine the details. Look for anything unusual. Because coin collecting is not just about money. It is about discovery. It is about history. It is about the thrill of finding something others overlooked. And who knows? The next coin you hold could be carrying a story that is far more valuable than 25 cents. If you enjoyed uncovering the fascinating story behind the 2017 P Washington quarter, make sure to subscribe and join us for more incredible journeys into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, minting mysteries, and forgotten pieces of history. And before you go, take a look through your pocket change and tell us in the comments. What is the most interesting coin you have ever found? Your next great discovery could be closer than you think.